Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Before we get started, please take a minute to click subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of my latest investing and personal finance content. And please check out the link you see on your screen for a message from our sponsor, The Motley Fool. You can get the top 10 stocks you buy right now.
One of my favorite fintech stocks, Block, is getting hammered on the day we're recording this. The stock is down by 15% right now on the day. It was down by 20% earlier. And the reason is that notable short seller Hindenburg Research put out a report that essentially accused the company of outright fraud. Just to kind of paraphrase what they said that Block is inflating the number of active Cash App users on the platform. It is sidestepping a lot of fraud controls and doing very little to prevent fraud from happening on its platform. It's getting excessive income from interchange fees was another accusation. It's ignoring anti-money laundering rules, making it really easy to misuse the platform. And there's another part that kind of accused them of profiteering off of the COVID pandemic stimulus checks. They were saying, we'll get you your money, you don't need a bank account. And clearly, a lot of things around that time were full of fraud. So my initial reaction, and then I'll let Tyler tell me why I'm wrong, is that just because a product is set up in a way that it's easy to misuse doesn't necessarily imply wrongdoing. So that's one point. Think of the Walmart money cards. Tyler, I don't know if there's a Walmart near where you are, but I'm sure you're familiar with the concept. At the cash register, there's usually these prepaid debit cards you buy called the Walmart money card that you can load money on and use just like a Visa or MasterCard wherever you go. These are some of the most commonly used products in tax scams. Does that mean that Walmart or the company that powers those, which is called Green Dot, does that mean that they're perpetrating fraud as well? Coinbase, Bitcoin is still the currency of choice by cyber criminals. Does that mean that everyone dealing with cryptocurrency should be shut down because they're perpetrating fraud? No. So that's kind of my first thought. And number two, I don't care if there are a bunch of fake Cash App accounts. I care about the volume, which doesn't matter. There could be two active Cash App users. If they're putting $200 billion through the system, I don't care that number is just two. So I don't really care if that number is inflated that much. The fraud controls, they probably do need to take a look at, but I don't think it's worthy of a 20% haircut to the stock. Tyler, what do you think?
Well, I want to try to piece this together because, I'll admit I am not the most studied person but the square, but I did read the report, and these are the kind of things that I pieced together from it. The points that kind of resonated with me was that aside all of these points, Block is one of the most highest valued in this payment processing environment. I don't even think they have a positive EBITDA, at least at the screen I'm looking at right now using Koifin. So they don't even have positive EBITDA. So I can't really rate them on that. But what was it in Q2 of 2022? They had an EV to EBITDA of 242 times compared to PayPal, which was 25 times. So we're looking at an extremely highly valued stock, right? Which means that we want to be paying for growth, and we want to see that thing grow fast enough that it justifies that valuation. But if what is said is true, if it was pursuing some of that growth because maybe it was being a little loose with, its financial regulations, maybe, some of the creation of the accounts or whatever. All right, let's start shaving some of that growth number off of what we've seen, right? You start doing that, all of a sudden, is that premium valuation warranted anymore? Probably it needs to come down considerably because that growth has been propped up slightly higher than what has been reported. And also, if you look at some of the adjusted numbers that they do, adjusted EBITDA, adjusted net income, you start to see a wide bifurcation in GAAP reported numbers versus adjusted numbers. Things stock-based compensation, things like that have really made the adjusted numbers look great, but on a GAAP basis, they're deteriorating. And so you combine all of those things, and even if they're one of many of perpetrating fraud and some of the other things that are being claimed about them. If the growth story is in question because they need to tamp down on that, then that premium valuation probably isn't warranted. And that, to me, seems to make sense.
Yeah, I can understand that. A couple other points I would make is one, that the Cash App is just part of the company's business. Their core business is the small business payment processing. That's what's actually still called Square. That I didn't see mentioned in the short seller report much at all. There's really no accusations of wrongdoing on that side of the business.
Fine, perfectly fine.
Yeah, that side's doing just fine. And I've been a Square investor for a long time. I bought it 3 days after its IPO. So I've been in this stock for a long, long time. I've watched it kind of evolve. The Cash App really did grow very quickly. I would not be surprised. You remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter, they claimed that there were 40% bogus accounts. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a similar amount on Cash App. Or if someone opened an account and used it once for a dollar, used it for $1 here and there, or something like that. If they mentioned people with multiple accounts, if the average user has like 2 or 3 accounts, but at the same time, like you mentioned, did they do all of this kind of looking the other way on fraud and things like that for the sake of keeping their growth rate high? And then it becomes a valuation question, not necessarily did they do something illegal issue. If this is an unregulated business, then they're not obligated to check each individual account for fraud. So it's not necessarily a legal issue. Square has a bank. They have a technical banking charter, but that's on the business side of the company. This Cash App is not a bank. They make it very clear this is not a bank account. So I don't know, I'm taking it with a grain of salt for right now. If they were within their legal bounds, then like you said, it does become a valuation issue. Is the stock still worth as much if that growth rate was inflated? So I'm not planning on selling my shares anytime soon. I'm going to kind of let this play out for a little bit, but maybe they do need to take a look at their controls and fight money laundering a little better and things like that.
Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.